Everyone, my name is Anthony and I have a special occasion to celebrate. I got into music about 10 years ago, or rather, music became a part of my identity about 10 years ago. I may have liked music before, but that was when I really learned to love music, and to make a long story short, I wouldn't be the person I am today if that hadn't happened. And I like when other music fans have a story about what started it all, like that one song, band, or concert that changed them forever and opened up a whole new world for them. And for me, it was an album, the debut of five indie kids who met at an artist commune in Greece. The Los Angeles based alt rock band Grouplove released their first album, Never Trust a Happy Song, in 2011. That title may suggest more of an undertone of sadness than there actually is, but the reality is 12 pop rock tracks celebrating life with every sing along chorus. All five members contributed to songwriting, and most contribute vocals, but the primary vocalists were the couple Christian Zucconi and Hannah Hooper. From the start, they were a band that wore their friendship on their sleeves, literally in the case of their matching tattoos, but also in their songs and the name of the band itself. And I think it was that bond that made them appeal to me as a lonely teen in late 2012, early 2013, when I decided to explore their music further, not long after their single Tongue Tied became a hit. Let me tell you, I quickly became obsessed. I listened to every Grouplove song on repeat, and when I couldn't get enough, I started seeking out other bands, which took me deeper and deeper into alternative music. I may credit Never Trust a Happy Song as the reason I love music so much today, but my taste has evolved a lot in 10 years to say the least, and for a long time I didn't listen to this album. I decided to change that though, and look at it with fresh eyes, not as a fan but as a critic. Are my views different now that I'm an adult who knows more about music? To celebrate how far I've come in my journey as a music fan, let's find out and explore this album and my thoughts on it track by track. The album starts off strong with Itchin on a Photograph, and if you aren't quite sure what that title means, you're not alone. But from what I gather, this is about letting go of your past and beginning to live for yourself. This is our first introduction to Christian and his dynamic and emotive voice, something which I can see not being for everyone, but it really sells the energy and message of this song so that even if you're going, what the hell does scratching on a thermostat mean? You still feel it, and this is a track that knows how to balance its quiet moments with the ones where it really lets loose, making the guitar solo and shouting vocals of the outro that much better. Alright, next, Tongue Tied. This was the big one, the song that got the Apple commercial, the Rock Band 4 feature, the Glee cover that I will never listen to. It opens with simple guitar strums before propulsive and danceable electronica takes over. It's the most pure pop that any song on this album gets, but it stays true to the band's sound thematically. It's about young love, it's about partying, it's about marmalade, I guess. I like the playground chant feel of Take Me to Your Best Friend's House. It works well with the song's theme of youthful infatuation. And since this came out in an era when guest rap verses on pop songs were inescapable, Hannah pops in with one of her own. Well, calling it rap is a bit of a stretch, but that seems to be the effect they're going for. There's a non-zero chance that you'll hate that part, but I don't mind it. To me, this is an important moment in the history of early 2010s indie pop hits. I know so many people my age who consider this song iconic, and I think it's deserved. Tongue Tied feels like it could come out at any time and still be well liked. It's just undeniable fun. Lovely Cup is, enjoyable but unremarkable is all that comes to mind. It's a love song, I suppose. The title comes from the line, "You're such a lovely cup, why don't you fill me up?" which I could make a joke here, but this song is too innocent for that. This song has a nice instrumental, and I like the interplay between Christian and Hannah's vocals that pops up here and there. Their real-life couple status is definitely a plus because it adds a bit of chemistry, even if their time together in this song is unfortunately limited. Lovely Cup has its positive qualities, but that doesn't save it from ultimately feeling a bit hollow. Feels like something I'd hear at Bath & Body Works, and you can take that how you will, but it's a high-tier Bath & Body Works song. I used to work there, and trust me, there are lower tiers. Colors was also a single, and a minor hit on the alternative charts. It sees the band taking a turn for the inspirational, with a song about appreciating life despite its unpredictability. The chorus goes, "It's the colors you have, no need to be sad, it really ain't that bad." There's a lot to like here in my opinion, from the immediacy of the opening lines, the trick in the lyrics of repeating certain words, and the general anthemic nature of the track. And a lot of the musical elements I adore in Itchin on a Photograph are also present here, I mean, this band does know how to write a tune that sticks with you and get you going. There are parts of it that don't work for me though, and if you want to avoid a quick discussion of suicide and mental illness, I recommend skipping to the next chapter. Take the line, "Oh, mistress, mistress, have you been up to the roof? He shot himself, there's blood on the wall, 'cause he couldn't face the truth." Now, I do believe the band had good intentions with this track, and I don't want to immediately dismiss what they're trying to do here, but personally, the message I need to hear in my worst moments is not, "Well, you wouldn't feel like this if you would just realize how good you have it." In encouraging people to stay alive, I just don't think you should be shaming those who couldn't. If this song comes from genuine mental health experience of the band, I don't mean to diminish that, but I think it's very easy to take this line in a bad way, and for me it takes away from what is otherwise a powerful song. Slow is the weakest point in the album for me. It has an echoing electronic instrumental that suggests something grand and epic, but the lyrics are just repetitive and uninteresting. Whatever statement is being attempted here would be much better served with more detail. Minimalist lyrics can work, but only if it doesn't feel like something is missing in them, and I can't say that for this track. And Hannah, as lead vocalist, is trying so hard to sell it, but when all you have to work with is the line "time moves slow" over and over and little else, there comes a point where it's just doing too much. I know what this song wants to be, but to me it's just kind of boring and, well, not to state the obvious, but slow. Naked Kids by Grouplove. Now, that's a fun song title and artist combination to explain to your parents, but the song isn't what it sounds like, I promise. It's about going to the beach with your friends, skinny dipping, getting stoned, just having the best time you can have. Unfortunately, this is another instance where the lyrics fall short. A song like this doesn't have to be a lyrical masterpiece, but here it's way too simplistic and sing-songy. I feel like I'm being read a low-effort children's book about a vacation, and we could have done without the reminder that the beach is better than watching Oprah. But this song is stronger in other areas. The chill, laid-back atmosphere is quite effective, and the band's harmonies in between verses are nice to listen to. Lyrically, though, I don't think this song has much to offer unless you are, in fact, cruising down the highway with your friends top down. Alright, time for Spun, and I'm glad this song is next because to me it's everything that the previous one should have been. It has essentially the same theme of sand and fun and freedom, but the energy is kicked up a notch, the lyrics are free-flowing and full of rhymes and wordplay, and by taking itself a bit less seriously, it feels a lot more genuine. This song has lead vocals from guitarist Andrew Wesson, and I like the vibe he brings to this. He's pretty much shouting every line, but in a very exuberant way where the joy is evident and contagious, so it doesn't wear you down the way that it could have. It's catchy in all the right ways. The song holds up well without analysis, and it doesn't have to be compared to the lesser version of itself to be great, but doing so makes my job a little more fun. With Betty's a Bombshell, we have the band temporarily stepping out of first person and trying a narrative song. I say trying because I think a lot of the actual story is missing here. We know that Betty is a beautiful woman who goes out with a handsome man, and their relationship later hits a rough spot, but that's about it. The rest is musings about life that feel a bit disconnected, and the general sound of the song doesn't do much to lift it up. And I could put together a larger story from the little they give us if I wanted. I'll do that for most things, I don't even need a good reason to. But you would think that after having the song named after her, Betty and her relationship would get more than 8 lines dedicated to it. When a song promises me characters, I want to reach the last note feeling like I know who those characters are, and you don't necessarily need a lot of words to do that, just the right words. So while I commend the band for stepping out of their comfort zone here, I think the execution leaves something to be desired. With Chloe, we have a 4th band member stepping up to the mic, this time bassist Sean Gadd. He may now be former bassist Sean Gadd, but he really left his mark on the band with this track, which may be the best of this album's many young love songs. It's another song that's all about being free and doing whatever you want to do, and the more laid-back lead vocals are backed up by an infectious guitar riff and the rest of the band shouting in harmony. It may not try hard to be profound, but it's a standout track simply by virtue of being incredibly fun. And this is a me thing, but I just like when love songs use a specific name. I like the personality it adds. Getting close to the end of the album, we now reach Love Will Save Your Soul. Your reaction to that title is probably going to determine whether or not you enjoy this song, because that phrase makes up most of the lyrics. And I know I got on an earlier song for being too repetitive, but something about how earnest and bright this song is almost makes me not care. It is once again catchy to the highest degree and full of jump around the room energy as Hannah returns to lead vocals and proclaims that love is real and it will rescue you from this crazy world. It sounds so sincere coming from this band that it's very hard to disagree. Is it a bit cheesy? Yes, but if you're in the right mood, sometimes that doesn't matter, and the band continues a trend of great instrumentals and harmonies that helps carry the song past any flaws it may have. So, be honest with me here. Am I being the killjoy that takes lyrics too seriously? Because I know I have mentioned lyrics coming up short repeatedly, so I'm gonna do my best to let it go from this one. Wish me luck here. Cruel and Beautiful World is a rock ballad about having someone you love who sticks with you even when you face challenges and wanting to show them your appreciation. At least I think it is. He's got his girl, but he mentions wanting to start over again after someone leaves him outside in the rain. And was that also his girl? Are the two verses addressed to different people? And what's all this about a curable cure? And I picked a bad time to stop caring about lyrics, didn't I? Okay, this is unfortunately a nice sounding song that falls apart if you look at it too closely. It kind of tries too hard to be poetic at the expense of its actual meaning. If you just take it as a vibe, it can work, but I understand that's not exactly high praise, and the existence of better songs on this album makes Cruel and Beautiful World mostly unnecessary, in my opinion. The album's closing track, Close Your Eyes and Count to 10, is one that I find myself loving more every time I think about it. It's about a romantic moment at the beach, and like the very first track, it uses a contrast between quiet and loud sections to take this moment and make it feel delicate and intimate, but also larger than life. How else could you describe the transformation of such simple subject matter into a song where the band literally howls at the moon? I know I keep talking about how this album is largely centered around young love, but there's something so raw and beautiful to me about how it's handled here in particular. The use of the word metamorphosis here, especially, I like the idea of being able to find yourself in someone else and in a moment you share together. And it just rocks. This is a great instrumental performance from the band as well, and it's a perfect way to end the album. So I went through such a ride while revisiting Never Trust a Happy Song. I started out thinking, wow, this isn't as good as I remember. Then I tried again, and I went, well, how could any of these little problems matter to me when this still makes me feel so strongly? And I tried to stop myself, like, this is supposed to be about critique, not emotions, but in the end, music and emotions come in hand more often than not, and I think that's something the band understood well while making this album. They made it to make people feel, and in making me do so both then and now, it has done everything it needed to do. Grouplove in 2011 may have only known how to write about like 3 subjects, but they gave those 3 subjects everything they had. And while by doing a retrospective on something that once meant the world to me, this review is more about myself than it is about Grouplove, I do worry I may be doing the band a disservice by only showing them through the lens of their first album. Their next one, Spreading Rumors, showed them expanding their sound and maturing in their songwriting. It's a solid album, and its only real crime is making its best song, Flowers, only a bonus track. And while I stopped keeping track of the band sometime around the release of their third album because by then my interests were elsewhere, they're still kicking and they seem like really genuine people who never stopped loving what they do. And in the end, I can say that I do trust their happy songs, and this album is worth a listen if their brand of joy and enthusiasm sounds like something you'd enjoy. My recommended tracks here are Itchin on a Photograph, Chloe, Close Your Eyes and Count to 10, and I do consider Tongue Tied an indie pop classic. Alright, this was a fun little trip down memory lane for me, and a neat experiment as a writer and reviewer, so thank you for watching. Have you heard this album? What do you think about it? What was your first favorite album? Comment down below if you have any thoughts. I would love to hear them. Goodbye, kids running wild and free. I will see you again soon.